Today, we're diving deep into a rumor that echoes through history. A story about a book that doesn't just describe reality, but actively rewrites it. This is the Necronomicon Paradox.
That's the claim, right there. It's this powerful idea that completely blurs the line between myth and physics, between a scary story and maybe a fundamental truth about our universe. But what if it's not just a metaphor?
All right, so to really get our heads around this, we've got to go back, way back to the beginning. We need to see how a simple myth, something born from a writer's dream, started to feel, well, a little too real.
So, this whole thing kicks off with the master of cosmic horror himself, H.P. Lovecraft. See, he didn't just cook up the Necronomicon as some clever plot device. He actually claimed the whole idea came to him in a dream. So, right from the get-go, this book was tied to the subconscious, to some other reality just beyond our waking minds.
So, in Lovecraft's stories, this is what the Necronomicon was, this forbidden, ancient book filled with all these dark secrets, supposedly written by some mysterious, mad Arab. It was brilliant, really. Perfect world building. It was supposed to add this deep, terrifying history to his tales. And, it was supposed to stay on the page.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It didn't stay on the page. And that's where things get really weird. It brings up this fascinating question, one that goes way beyond just analyzing a book. What happens when enough people believe in a story? Can it actually take on a life of its own?
After Lovecraft was gone, the legend just started to bleed into our reality. All these strange stories started popping up. You had librarians who'd swear they found these mysterious, uncatalogued books on their shelves. You had readers who insisted the text would literally shift and change right before their eyes. A completely fictional idea was suddenly starting to act like a real physical thing.
Okay, so this is where we're going to take a pretty sharp turn. We're moving away from folklore and diving headfirst into the, frankly, bizarre world of quantum mechanics. We're going to see if physics itself can give us a strange new way to look at this whole phenomenon.
First things first, we need to wrap our heads around a core quantum idea, superposition. Okay, imagine you flip a coin. While it's spinning in the air, before it lands, is it heads or is it tails? Well, in a way, it's kind of both at the same time. That's superposition. On that tiny quantum level, reality exists as just this cloud of pure possibility until something comes along and forces it to make a choice.
And that brings us to the wave function collapse. The second you catch that spinning coin, or the moment a scientist actually observes a particle, that whole cloud of potential just snaps into one single definite state. The wave of all the maybes collapses into a single is. And here's the key part. It's the observer who forces that choice. Okay, so here's the big leap. What if collective human belief acts just like a form of observation? I mean, think about it. If a scientist's measurement can force a tiny particle into existence, could the focused emotional energy of thousands of people do the same thing for an idea? Could we literally will it from pure potential into our reality? And that is the heart of what we're exploring today. The idea that all those people, for all those years, believing in this fictional book, maybe they weren't dabbling in magic. Maybe they were part of a massive, unintentional quantum experiment, just using the power of their minds to pull a fictional concept into a more and more concrete form.
So, let's put this theory to the test, right? How does this wild idea hold up when you look at the actual strange case studies and eyewitness accounts that have surrounded the Necronomicon for decades?
Well, you can see the belief just gain momentum over time. It starts with Lovecraft's dream in the 20s. Then, decades later in 1977, this Simon Necronomicon hits the bookstores, and boom, it just reignites the whole thing for a new generation. And that's when you start hearing about even more intense stuff, like that chilling case of the student in Prague found in a room that apparently smelled of ozone, almost like reality itself had been bent out of shape.
But you know what's really fascinating? The consistency of what people reported. We're talking people from different cultures, speaking different languages, all reading these books and describing the same unsettling experiences. Overwhelming sleep paralysis, vivid hallucinations, and this sudden spike in meaningful coincidences or synchronicities in their lives. It's almost as if engaging with the idea literally tunes your reality to a different frequency.
It's almost like folklore and physics are just two different languages trying to describe the exact same process. What ancient cultures called summoning, A physicist today might just call wave function collapse. A curse or a ritual? Well, that could be a form of observer entanglement. This idea that by focusing on something, our own consciousness gets fundamentally tangled up with its outcome.
All right, so in this last section, we're going to take this idea and blow it up even bigger, beyond just a single book. We're going to explore the possibility that the Necronomicon isn't an object at all, but a process, like an algorithm that's just running in the background of human consciousness. Just think about it like this. We are consciously aware of, what, a tiny fraction of reality's full potential? Most of it, maybe 95% of it, is totally unknown to us. It's in that vast, unseen space that powerful ideas like the Necronomicon might be brewing, just fueled by our collective belief, waiting for a chance to get pulled into our little slice of known reality.
So this really forces a big shift in how you think about it. Maybe we've all been looking for an object, a physical book, when we should have been looking for a process. The real power isn't in the paper and ink, it's in the repeatable mechanism of turning focused thought into a tangible effect.
And we're calling this the consciousness algorithm. It's a metaphor, of course, but it's for that hidden function in our minds that can, if the conditions are right, actually influence reality. And belief, strong, focused, collective belief, that's the activation energy. That's what makes the algorithm run. And hey, this isn't just about ancient myths and spooky books. Just look at the development of artificial intelligence. That whole thing started as a science fiction dream, right? A collective belief held by just a handful of pioneers. But they believed in it so strongly that they poured all their energy, their time, their resources into it, and they collapsed probability until it became our reality. It is the exact same principle in action. Which leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question. Is the line between what's real and what's imaginary just a matter of focused energy? Is truly believing in something the first and most critical step to actually making it exist?
Because the paradox is this: the Necronomicon isn't something you read, it's something that reads you. It's an idea that, once it's planted in your mind, just begins to grow. And just by you listening to this, right now, by hearing its name and thinking about whether it could be real, well, the process starts all over again.